Let's go over some incredibly helpful tips that you need to know before Milsim West that the TACSOP isn't going to tell you. Packing your ruck properly is going to be one of those things that the TACSOP doesn't go over, but it can make or break your experience in Airsoft. And I think a lot of players don't do this correctly because no other Airsoft event really requires you to carry everything that you need for 40 hours of continual gameplay. Other event promoters will have games that are long enough they need an assault pack or something like that, but nothing compares to having the full ruck to survive out there for about a day and a half. Now, I think a lot of players screw up in two ways. First off, they don't get the right type of bag. You want a large bag that's at least 30 liters in capacity. Some people go much higher. It depends on how comfortable you are and the equipment that you're bringing in there with you. If you're more experienced, you can get away with a smaller bag. If you have better equipment, usually it's going to be a smaller profile than some of the more affordable stuff out there. But you're going to want a bag with a frame, something from like Tactical Tailor, Mystery Ranch, Hill People gear. Civilian options work as well. I have a civilian ruck that I got from a sporting goods store many years ago, and it does the job. Don't think that you need to spend $300 on a good ruck for Milsim West. You can make more affordable options work. The other place where players screw up is even if they have the right bag, they don't know how to pack their ruck. It becomes a soup sandwich. It's hard to get at the things that you need. It's not going to be sitting on your body right, and it's going to lead to discomfort. And when you're carrying 35, 40 pounds up a hill that has like a 20-degree angle and your ruck isn't packed properly and stuff's like swaying and hitting you in the back of the legs, you're going to have a bad time. So to pack your ruck, and we're going to oversimplify this because there's a great article that Eric wrote over on thebabywarrior.com that I'll have linked down in the description below about how to pack your ruck. But the basics of it is, at the bottom, you're going to have your sleep system, then you're going to have your clothing, your food, and then stuff you need and readily available. Most times this is going to be your inclement weather gear because if it starts to rain, you don't want to like dig all your crap out of the ruck to go get it. The reason why we pack our rucks like this is it's in importance of how often you're going to need it. You're not going to need that sleep system unless you've set up a PB, and a lot of rucks have access on the bottom or like a dual zipper system where you can access that without interrupting any of the other things that are on top of it. My ruck does that, and it's a great feature. Then, you're not going to need your clothes unless you have a patrol base. You're probably not going to need that food super often. You should be carrying some on your fighting equipment, but if you need like larger meals, if you're going to your mountain houses or MREs, and then finally, stuff on top, rain gear, extra warming layers if it's the middle of the night, just stuff that you need to access readily. This is where I see a lot of players screw up, is they don't follow that format. Again, they have stuff hanging off the side of it. I've seen people bring stock pots to Milsim West, and while I was a little jealous of them making soup on a very cold Saturday night, I was not jealous of them having to carry all that crap up and down a mountain. So packing your ruck is super important. And the other thing is not just knowing how to pack your ruck, going out and testing it. You can just put the ruck on and not look like a goober when you go to the state park to go camping. Like, go out and test your ruck, make sure that it's comfortable, make sure that you know how to wear it, you know how to take it on and off, and then keep in mind that if you're going to be wearing body armor, it's going to fit differently on your body. You should get used to putting that on in your house. Don't be the weirdo who brings their plate carrier to the state park, but practice with your ruck. This is where I see so many players fail, and it's such a crucial part of the Milsim West experience, and it leads to a lot of drops on night one because people can't simply carry the weight. The next thing goes hand in hand with being proficient with your ruck, that is exercising. Exercise before these events. You don't have to go super hard. I went to the gym maybe once or twice a week leading up to my last Milsim West, and it was a lifesaver because it was on a mountain, and my experience on the, what are they called, the Stairmaster, the stair machine, that was amazing, and it really helped me out, and I know that if I wasn't doing that once or twice a week in preparation to this event, I would not have gotten through it. Like, I can safely say that. And going to the gym, like, you don't need to have a super crazy workout regimen, excuse me. I mean, look at me, like I'm a string bean, but going out there and, exercising, getting your cardio and your endurance up is going to pay dividends, not only for, the fake war of Milsim West, but also just to live a healthy lifestyle outside of Airsoft. So go out there, exercise. There's fun ways to do exercising, like rucking. It works two things at once. Not only helps you live a healthy life, but also gets you prepared for Milsim West as well. So it's one of those things that's not explicitly said in the TACSOP, but I think that it's incredibly important. Our third piece of advice kind of continues with packing correctly, and that is packing for colder temperatures than you're going to expect. And I know somebody's going to say, well, Lane, if I bring a bunch of warming layers, that's just going to be extra weight. It's going to slow me down, like, fight light, right? Not necessarily. You know, there's the other side of that saying, which is pack light, freeze at night. And you should always bring a little bit more than you think you're going to need for the event. And the reason why I say that is Milsim West doesn't really do like middle of the summer events as much like they used to. And in those games, yeah, you can get away with just your bivvy, like a ranger roll type of setup. But now that they do more events in the early spring and in the fall as well, even when you are in the southern parts of the United States, once it hits like 40 degrees at night, if you just have like a 40-degree bag or a bivvy or something like that, you're going to get uncomfortable. Just because it's rated to 40 doesn't mean that you're going to be comfortable at 40, and I found that out the hard way at my last Milsim West because it went from expecting 40s to 29 degrees at night, and that 10 degrees made a world of difference. So bring a better sleeping bag than what you expect to be encountering in the actual game. You can always make yourself cooler by unzipping, taking off layers. It's incredibly difficult to make yourself warmer at night if you don't have the proper layers and the proper equipment to warm you up. My sleeping bag was only rated to 40. Like I said, it got to, the high 20s, and I ended up putting like an emergency blanket under me because the ground was just, sucking the warmth out of my body. And that's the other thing with your sleeping system. Don't just count on the bag and your bivvy. You also need to have a proper sleeping mat that has the same R rating so that you won't freeze at night, because literally, like I just said, the ground will suck the heat out of your body and you'll have a very cold and very miserable time until the sun comes out. So make sure that you have proper warming layers, a little bit warmer than you think you're actually going to need for the event. I promise the extra pound for bringing that extra jacket is going to be worth it when it gets cold at like 4 in the morning. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is your replicas for airsoft. That's what a lot of people put their focus on. However, I think that some people over upgrade their gun for Milsim West. And the reason why I say that is because Milsim West issues you ammo. If you've ever met somebody who swears that their gun can only hop .4s or .36s or whatever heavyweight BB that they spend way too much money on, then they're not going to have a good time at Milsim West, because you're going to get handed a bottle of 2/8s and then they're going to complain that their gun can't hop it and you're going to miss your targets. So yes, it's important to put upgrades in your airsoft gun, things to increase reliability. I think for Milsim West, the most that you need is like a G&G green bucking, because they handle the cold very well, so they work great at Milsim West when it gets freezing out at night. I noticed that a lot of people's hop-ups just were not working at check-in because it was so cold. A better barrel and then a better motor. You don't need to do a super crazy barrel and hop up, because again, you're only getting 2/8s, maybe 3/2s, and you should be giving the 3/2s to your machine gun anyways. So I think that a lot of people kind of like over upgrade their gun, and that ends up to them not being as effective on the airsoft field. So again, you don't need a super crazy high-end gun for a game like Milsim West. I think that those guns benefit more at more sandboxy type events where you can use your own ammo. That's definitely an issue that I see a lot of people having at Milsim West. I also don't like to bring guns with, like MOSFETs installed in them, things like the Gate Titan, because in these more wet sort of games, I notice that they fail a lot more than guns with, traditional trigger contacts. I know that's a hot take because they're definitely old technology, but I notice that those guns fail a lot less at these events than ones with more modern electronic systems in them. And now the final thing that I want to talk about is something that we've all seen. If you've ever seen Milsim West footage, it's people getting shot in their sleeping bag. It's funny to watch, it's awful to live through, so here's how you avoid it. You need to have proper patrol-based security. And this is something that your cadre should be doing, it's something that your platoon leader should be setting up, but everybody's responsible. So to oversimplify patrol-based security, because this deserves a whole video on its own, or you can just read the Ranger Handbook, essentially what you want is at each apex of your patrol base, let's say there's 3, kind of like a triangle shape. To oversimplify this, at each apex, that point on the triangle, you're going to want 2 things. You're going to want somebody with night vision, and you're going to want somebody with a machine gun. If you can give both of them night vision and machine guns, that only makes it even better. Well, you want those people to be on watch. This is another thing that you don't experience at a lot of games, but somebody always has to be awake pulling security. Ideally, depending on what your cadre and your platoon leader set up, it's going to be somewhere from 25 to 35, maybe 40% is going to be up pulling security. You need people awake, and you need people who are awake with the most casualty producing things that you have. So that's why you want the night vision, the thermals, the machine guns. You want those on those apexes of your patrol base so that if somebody comes to shoot you in your sleeping bags, you can fight back and win. If you're a player who's not on watch and you start getting contact, people are raiding your patrol base, you need to get up immediately. You need to get your stuff on. You don't need your full combat load, just a mag or two, throw your nods on if you have them, and go out there and repel that attack. And the reason why this is important, because I get it, you're nice and cozy in your sleeping bag, you prepared properly, you have the right rating for your sleeping bags, you're nice and warm and toasty, it's cold outside, you don't want to get up. You know what's worse than being interrupted from your sleep to fend off the patrol base attack? At 3 in the morning, picking up all your crap and hiking for half a mile because your patrol base got rolled, that's way more uncomfortable than just fighting back, and also it's kind of lame if you don't fight back. So that is my #1 piece of advice. Anything out of this video is you need to have proper security, you need to make sure that somebody's awake at all times, and the best way to do that is set up a watch rotation before the event. You know, just know who the battle buddies are going to be, who are going to be awake, and then that's going to greatly improve the likelihood of people actually staying up and doing their watch than having a system where it's just like, hey, wake up whoever for the next watch shift. Because you're going to wake somebody up at 2 in the morning, they're not going to want to do it, I guarantee it, and then you're not going to have security. You're going to give up because you're tired and cranky because you've been out here for 30 hours, and it's just not going to go well, and then you're going to get shot in your sleeping bag 45 minutes later because nobody was pulling security. So that is the best piece of advice that I have, is proper PB security will make Milsim West a lot more enjoyable, and fending off those attacks is honestly a lot of fun. So those are just 5 tips that I would recommend before you go to Milsim West that the TACSOP isn't going to teach you. But I want to know, what is your own advice for other players who are going to Milsim West? Make sure to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your suggestions. Maybe we'll do a follow-up video with what you guys recommend at Milsim West. But that's going to do it for today's video. I do just want to say a quick thank you to our channel members who make videos like this possible. If it wasn't for their support, I would not be able to take the time off of work to go to Milsim West, to go to these events, and then be able to share the wisdom that I got from them with all of you. So a big thank you to everybody who helps support this channel. But my name has been Lane, and I will see you all next time.